Okay, good evening, everyone. Yesterday we have completed. Yesterday we have completed the theory part of my wet lessons. Wet lesson. Therefore, today I have to discuss how to solve some questions in vectors. Okay. Before that, actually we have discussed yesterday about the features of parallels, no? Features of some specific parallels, no? So suppose if you are given a vector, if you are given a relationship, if you are given a relationship in vector format, actually the first thing you have to consider whether this relationship you have to check whether this relationship can be convert into a geometrical relationship or not. Okay, but that is not the only way. That is not the only way to solve each and every questions. But most of the questions can be solved using that method. Okay, converting a vector relationship into a geometrical relationship. Okay, therefore the first thing you have to consider whether this relationship can be converted into a geometrical relationship. Okay, I will give some example. Suppose this is an example how to convert that thing. Suppose there are two vectors A and B, and both are not equal to 0. That means both are higher than 0. Then suppose A plus B vector, the modulus of A plus B is equal to modulus of A minus B. Then you are asked to find the angle between A and B. What is the question? There are two non-zero vectors. Normally we call this as non-zero vectors. Okay. So suppose there are two non-zero vectors A and B. The modulus of A plus B is equal to modulus of A minus B. Then find the angle between A and B. That is the question. Angle between A and B. That is the question. So the question is in vector relationship, no? In the question, there's a relationship. It is a vector relationship. Okay. Now you have to convert that relationship into a geometrical relationship. Then you can easily find the answer. If this is an MCQ question, you don't want to write anything. You can do this question using your mind without writing single step. Okay. How to convert that thing? In order to do that, you have clear idea. You have to have clear idea about A plus B and A minus B. What is A plus B? A plus B means it is a R. R means resultant vector. This is the resultant vector. This is the difference vector, no? D. So this is R and this is D. If normally, you know, if we consider my parallelogram, the resultant vector can be represented by this diagonal. The resultant vector can be represented by this diagonal, and the difference vector D can be represented by this diagonal. Okay. Those are the two diagonals that can be used to represent R and D. Okay. R means A plus B, D means A minus B. So if you are given this kind of relationship, this is a geometric vector relationship, that means A plus B means one diagonal, A minus B, modulus of A minus B means another diagonal. That means if you consider this is as a parallelogram, in that parallelogram, two diagonals are equal in length. Two diagonals are equal in length. Okay. If two diagonals, if there are two diagonals which are equal in length, then what kind of parallelogram is this? What kind of parallelogram? It should be a square, or it should be a rectangle. No, it should be a square, or it should be a rectangle. Okay. So if two diagonals are equal in length, definitely the parallelogram should be a square, or parallel should be a rectangle. Now I have converted this vector relationship into a geometrical relationship. What was in the vector relationship? It is mentioned addition vector. That means resultant is equal to the difference. Resultant is equal to the difference. I know resultant can be represented by a diagonal, and difference also can represent by a diagonal. Okay. If these two are equal, that means the length of two diagonals are equal. Now I converted that relationship into a geometrical relationship. If the length of two diagonals are equal each other, that means that parallelogram should be a square or a rectangle. That means the angle between two vectors should be 90 degrees. Fair enough? So if it is MCQ question, you don't want to write anything, no? You don't want to write anything. That means two diagonals are equal in each other, equal in length, no? If you are given this kind of relationship, that means two diagonals are equal in length. If two diagonals are equal in length, the parallelogram should be a square or rectangle. Whether it is a square or a rectangle, the angle between two vectors, angle between two vectors should be equal to 90. මේ rectangle එකක් වුණත් මෙයාකක් වුණත් angle එක 90 වෙනවා. තේරුණාද කීපුදේ?
Yes, sir.
Therefore, the first thing you have to convert this relationship into a geometrical relationship. Then you can solve this question, this kind of questions very easily. It is very easy to convert a vector relationship into a geometrical relationship. Then you can solve a lot of questions. Okay. Suppose this is the second one. Suppose you are given this one, A and B. No, rectangle, diagonals in rectangles are equal in each other. No. How to prove that? ඔන්න ඕලල් මතක නැහැ. ඕලල් මතක නැහැ. කොහොමද prove කරන්නේ? A, B, C, D. This is A, this is B. AC length, this is 90 degrees, this is 90 degrees. So AC length can be determined by ABC triangle. Using ABC triangle, AC squared is equal AB squared plus BC squared. No, AB squared plus BC squared. AB squared plus BC squared is equal AC squared. Then DB square. Find DB square. DB square means again AB square plus AD squared. Instead of AD squared, I can write BC squared, no? Because BC and AD are equal in length. Therefore, I can write this one is equal to BC squared. Look at this. Therefore, if the angle is 90 degree, that means the diagonals are equal in length. Okay. ඔය පැරගම් වල තියෙන මේ features ටික පොඩ්ඩක් බලා ගන්න. ඒක අතිශය වැදගත් වෙනවා. පැරගම් ඒකේ loss නෙවෙයි පැරගම්ස් වල තියෙන features ටික. special features ටික ඒක all වලට ඔයගොල්ලෝ කරලා තියෙන්නේ. Okay. Suppose second question. Right? Suppose A and B are two non-zero vectors. A and B are two non-zero vectors. Okay. If A and B are two non-zero vectors and A vector plus B vector is perpendicular to A vector minus B vector, and suppose and A vector is equal 10 Newton. It is equal 10 Newton. What is the value of B vector? What is the value of B vector? Magnitude. What is the magnitude of B vector? 10. Very good. How did you get that one? Not all is square. Not all is square. What does that mean? What does that mean? This is a diagonal. No, this is a diagonal, Putta. This is another diagonal. This is a diagonal. This is another diagonal. That means two diagonals in this parallelogram are perpendicular to each other. If two diagonals are perpendicular to each other, that means this parallelogram should be a square or a rhombus. Square or a rhombus. Both can be happen. Both can be happen. If it is a square or rhombus, that means all the sides are equal in length. So one side, if one side is equal to 10 Newton, other side also equal to 10 Newton. No? Therefore, other vector, the magnitude of other vector should be equal to 10 Newton. Everyone, I need responses. Everyone. Others? Go. Anita? Another? Yanusha? Is you?
Yes.
Is you?
Sir, actually the connection was dropping. I couldn't hear it properly.
Okay, this is the question. This is the question. Suppose A and B are two non-zero vectors, and A plus B vector is perpendicular to A minus B vector. And you are given A vector is equal to 10 Newton in magnitude, and you are asked to find the magnitude of B vector. So, what should I do? I have to convert this vector relationship into a geometrical relationship. You know, A plus B means it is a diagonal. This also a diagonal. This is a diagonal of a parallelogram. This is another diagonal. This is the other diagonal of this parallelogram. So that means two diagonals of this parallelogram are perpendicular to each other. Okay? This is a diagonal. This is the other diagonal. So two diagonals are perpendicular to each other. If two diagonals are perpendicular to each other, that parallelogram should be a square or a rhombus. Square or a rhombus. If it is a square or if it is a rhombus, you know all the sides are equal in length. Therefore, if one side is equal to 10 Newton, other side is also equal to 10 Newton. 10 Newton in magnitude. Therefore, the magnitude of B vector should be equal to 10 Newton. Then okay. Shall we go to the tute? Tute ආවද ඔයගලන්ට?
Yes, sir.
Thank
Got
you.
it today.
Okay. Okay. Do first three questions. Do first three questions. In the questions of subtraction of vectors, and under that topic, first three questions. This is just the difference, okay? දැන් මම මේ කියපු විදිහට හදන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. ඒක නිකන් difference එක විතරයි තියෙන්නේ. හොඳයි බලමු. Shall we discuss? The first one. First one. Two cars A and B are moving in the direction east from a starting point O. Then this is the starting point O. They are moving in east direction. At a certain instant, the displacement of A and B from O are 50 meters and 75 meters. A has a displacement of 50 meter and B has a 75. Find the difference between displacement. Find the difference between displacement. How much? How much difference?
25 towards yes.
25. 25 towards the is the no. It is depend on SA minus SB or SB minus SA. Okay. If you subtract FB minus FA, then it is towards the because if you minus SB, suppose displacement of B SB and displacement of A SA. So you have to find SB minus SA or SA minus SB. Either way. That means 75. Look at this. You have to write it in this way. Everyone look at this. 75 in this direction. Direction is this direction. Minus in which direction? Right or left? Huh? Tell me.
Right.
Right. The first thing you have to write these vectors in magnitude and direction. Okay. Otherwise, you will be get wrong calculations. Okay. 75. This is the displacement of B. It is in right direction. It is 75. Therefore, direction is into the right. 50 meter. It is also into the right because both are moving in east direction. It is also into the right. Then this is a subtraction between two vectors in same direction. If two vectors in same direction, you can simply subtract two magnitude. That means 2 and 2. If any two vectors are in same direction, you can simply subtract the magnitude of them. Magnitude of them. Okay. That is the answer for first one. The second one. This figure shows a mass of 20 kg. Look at the figure. The figure shows a mass of 20 kg placed on an inclined plane at an angle of 30 degree with the horizontal. If a force of 40 Newton is applied on the object in upward direction along the inclined plane, find the magnitude and direction of resultant force acting on the object. Resultant force acting on the object. Okay, then. Okay, in this case, you have to have idea about better resolution also. Okay. $20 kg. 20 kg in mass. 20 kg mass. In 20 kg mass means the weight of this object. It is the force, no? Mass is the mass, but due to this mass, it is a force. That force is called as the weight of this object. So normally weight is acting horizontally towards the earth. Okay, towards the earth. Therefore, the force acting on this object is its weight. It is towards the ground. And which is equal to mg. Mg means m means mass, g means gravitational acceleration. So mass is 20, gravitational acceleration is 10. Therefore, the weight is 200. Actually, you know, if mass is 20 kg, then how much is weight? Its weight can be determined, or its weight can be calculated using mass and gravitational acceleration, because the acceleration towards the earth is called as gravitational acceleration. It is equal to 10 ms minus 2. I think these things you have learned in your orals. Okay, therefore the weight is equal to 80 kg into 10 ms minus 2. That means 200 Newton. 200 Newton. You can simply multiply the weight by 10 and write it as Newton. Okay. So this is the force acting on this object. Then there's another force. There's another force. If a force 40 Newton is applied to the object in upward direction. There's another force in upward direction which is equal to 40 Newton. Which is equal to 40 Newton. Which is equal to 40 Newton. This is 200, this is 40. You have to find the resultant force of these two. The resultant force of these two. How to do that? කොහොමද කරන්නේ? The resultant force. How to do this? The resultant force of these two vectors. How to do this? Actually, you can get the resultant force if you know this angle. No? R squared is P squared plus Q squared plus 2PQ cos theta. Okay? From that you can take get the resultant force. But that is very hard. That is very difficult way. Okay? But what is the easiest way to get the resultant force of this system? One force is in upward direction along the plane. Other one is downward direction. Yeah. X and Y component means you have to resolve this 200 Newton force along the plane and perpendicular to the plane. Not X and Y direction. Along the plane and perpendicular to the plane. Okay. Along the plane and perpendicular to the plane. Look at this one. So you have to resolve this 200 Newton force along the plane and perpendicular to the plane in these two directions. Suppose this is P and this is Q. Now you have to find P and Q. Okay. Instead of taking the resultant force of 40 Newton and 200 Newton, I have resolved 200 Newton along the plane and perpendicular to the plane. Those are the two perpendicular directions which I am going to resolve this force. Okay. Okay. As I told you earlier, that means when I was doing resolving method, how to resolve a force? How to resolve a force? When you resolve a force, you have to consider what are the direction you are going to resolve this force. The first thing is determine the direction of resolved component. Now I have determined that one. No, the first component should be in this direction. Other component should be in perpendicular direction. Okay. Why I choose that direction is what is the reason? The reason behind that. The reason behind. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. Could you please read that one? Okay. Okay. The reason for this resolving method is, look at this. If I resolve this 200 Newton along the plane, you can clearly see there are two forces along the plane. What are those? One is 40 Newton, other one is P, the resolved component of this one. Therefore, I can take the resultant of these two. Okay. Then I know this Q value. I know this Q value. After resolving this 200 Newton, I know this Q value, and I can take the resultant force along the plane. Therefore, after resolve this 200 Newton force, I will have two forces. One is along the plane, other one is perpendicular to the plane. Therefore, there will be two perpendicular forces. So, if they are perpendicular forces, I can take the resultant force very easily, no? Okay. In this case, actually, taking resultant force, in this case, taking resultant force is little bit difficult. But we can do that. But it is little bit difficult. But if I resolve this thing, the entire system will be reduced to two forces acting perpendicular to each other. Okay. So if I want to resolve this thing, the second consideration is finding the angle between the original force and the resolved component. Those are the two resolved components. Therefore, you have to find the angle between the original force and one of these forces. Either this one or either this one. Then you can go for the resolution. So you know this angle is 30. When this angle is 90, that means this is 60. This is 60. Okay. If this is 60, this one also 60. Vertically opposite side, opposite angle. Okay. This one also 60. And this one should be 30. This one should be 30. Therefore, this angle is 30. This angle is 30. Therefore, Q is equal to 200 cos 30 and P is equal to 200 sin 30. Therefore, I can write P is equal to 200 sin 30. Q, look at this. Q is equal 200 cos 30. Look at this one. Now, here 30 angles here. Therefore, if you resolve this into Q direction, 30 is here, that means component should be cos. If you resolve this into this direction, this angle is 60. Therefore, you can take it as cos 60 or sin 30. Sin 30. Okay. Therefore, those are two components of 200 Newton. Now QP is equals 200 sin 30. Sin 30 is half. Therefore, 200 into half means 100. 200 cos 30. Cos 30 means root 3 over 2. Root 3 over 2. That means you have to divide 200 by 2. That means 100. Therefore, so those are two components. Now those are two components of 200 Newton. So now P is 100. P is 100 Puta. Therefore, if you take the resultant force of P and 40, that means you have to subtract those two. P and 40 means in here there is 100 Newton. Towards the upward direction, there is 40 Newton. Look at this one. Now the system is like this. There is 100 Newton force downward direction along the plane, and another 40 Newton is in upward direction along the plane. And perpendicular to plane, there is another force that is equal 100 root 3. Then I can take the resultant force of these two. 100 minus 40. 100 minus 40 means into the downward direction, there is a force which is equal to 60. Therefore, I can reduce this system something like this. Into the downward direction, the force is 60 Newton. 60 Newton. 60 Newton. Perpendicular to the plane, the force is 100 root 3. 100 root 3. Now there are only two vectors which are perpendicular to each other. So you can take the resultant of these two. How to take the resultant? P squared plus Q squared, square root of P squared plus Q squared, because they are perpendicular to each other. And therefore, the resultant force is equal to square root of this one, 60 squared plus this one, 100 squared into 3. Square of 100 into 3. Now you have to simplify this one. You have to simplify this one. I will simplify this one. Everyone, I need your responses.
So a small question. So I didn't get how you determine the P and there are P and Q two components.
You means how I may resolve this stuff?
No, before that, how do we determine the directions of P and Q? Like, if
that's why I may said you the reason, because you can see there's a force into the upward direction along the plane. Upward direction along the plane. Okay. Then if I resolve this one along the plane, then I can take the resultant force of this one and this component and reduce these two forces into one force along the plane. Then, if I resolve this one into along the plane, there is a component along the plane as well as perpendicular to the plane. Therefore, there are two forces. One is along the plane, other one is perpendicular to the plane. So, if I resolve this one into this direction, that means along the plane, I can cancel out this force with this one. Then there are only two forces which are acting at the right angle to each other. That's why I resolve these forces before taking the resultant force. Then,
yes, sir.
okay. Make a special case එකක් මේක මම ඔයගොල්ලන්ට පස්සේ හරියටම මේ questions කරනවා මේකත් එක්කව. මේක දැනට තේරුණාද කරපුවද? මොකද කරේ කියන්නේ?
So how do we say that Q is like perpendicular, like that one?
No,
P
no,
is okay. I can
no,
understand.
no, no. If you resolve a force, Puta, if you resolve a force, then actually one force should be if you resolve a force, definitely those two forces may perpendicular to each other, Puta.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if I resolve this force, that means if this one is this direction, other component should be perpendicular to the plane.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Sorry, sir.
Right. Okay. Okay. Then this is the perpendicular look at the P component, and this is the perpendicular component Q. අනිත් අය මොකද තේරුණාද? Okay. Okay. හරිද? Lakshmi Buddha, can you explain? Can you explain the question? Lakshmi, you want to resolve 40 Newton instead of 200? Ah, that's also correct. That's also correct. That is another method. Okay, that is another method. Look at this. That's also a very good question. What he did. Now there is 200 Newton force to put the. Now look at this. Shall I erase this one? Look at this. Everyone, please look at the board. Forces like this. This is 200 Newton. Here, there is 40 Newton. There are two forces, something like this. No. What he did is, instead of resolving this force into this and this direction, he did is, he resolved this one in x direction, and this one is y direction. That's very good option. That is very good option. Okay. Then, instead of resolving 200 Newton, he resolved 40 Newton and 40 Newton into x and y. X and y. Therefore, then he can take the resultant force of y and 200 Newton. And he has another force which is equal to x. Instead of resolving, he resolved this one. So this is theta, then this angle is theta, then 30. This should be 30. And this angle should be 30. This angle should be 30. හරි. දෙවත්තම හරි. හරි. ලේසියක් ගන්න. මම මෙතන කර මේක මේ පුංචි ස්පෙෂල් රීසන් එකක් තියෙනවා. හේතුව අපිට මේ ඉස්සරහට මට මේක ඕනේ වෙලා මේ along the plane resolve කරගන්න. හරි. ඒ කියන්නේ අපේ future මේ වැඩවලට මට මේක ඕනේ වෙනවා. ඒකයි මම along the plane and perpendicular planes මම මේ resolve කරගත්තේ. මේ මෙතන එකත් හරි. කිසි ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. හරි. Okay, everyone, look at the board. Did you get this one? How I resolve this thing along the plane and perpendicular plane? Why I did this? Because I need this knowledge in future, especially in Newton's law, and it will be of forces as well as in many applications. you need this knowledge. If you are given an inclined plane, and a mass, then how could you resolve its weight into two components? weights two components resolve okay. Okay, I will explain. I will explain. Look at this. Now, there is a force 200 Newton. There is a force 200 Newton, which is its weight. This angle is 30. This angle is 30. Therefore, I decide to resolve this force into two components, which is perpendicular to this plane and along this plane. Okay. Because there's another force along this plane which is equal to 40 Newton. So I reduce this force and this force, and I can have another force along the plane. Then if I cancel out this force, then there will be only two forces, which is along the plane and perpendicular to plane. Therefore, I can reduce this force system into two perpendicular planes. That is the reason why I am resolving these forces. So resolving can be done in two ways. One is this way, this method. Other one is previously explained method. That method also correct. Okay. Why Buddha? Now there is a resolve component. Suppose if I resolve this one into this direction, the resolve component will be 100. Okay. Resolve component is 100. Therefore, now there are two vectors. Acting in opposite direction. No, one is 100 Newton downward direction. Other one is 40 Newton in upward direction. Therefore, the resultant force of these two is 60 Newton in downward direction. Because this is the larger one. This is the larger, so I can reduce. I can subtract 40 Newton from this one. Therefore,
Sir, how can we know if it's 100 newtons?
No, actually, I know the result because I have simplified. Otherwise, you can simply remember this is equal to mg sin theta. Sin theta means 30, no? Sin theta is 30. Therefore, mg sin theta means 200 into half. That means 100. Okay? Normally, the resolve component along the plane is equal to mg sin theta. Resolve component perpendicular to the plane is equal to mg cos theta. And that's why I can take this one as 100. Okay. 100. Okay. Therefore, I can subtract these two forces and reduce these two forces into one single force. If I reduce these two forces into one single force, now the system, now there are only two forces in the system. One force is in downward direction along the plane. It is along the plane. One force is in along the plane. Other one is perpendicular to plane. Perpendicular to plane. Therefore, the two forces are perpendicular to each other now. No, two forces are perpendicular to each other. So I can simply take the resultant force if they are perpendicular to each other. And that is the reason why I am resolving this process. And so look at this one. This is 30 Puta. This is 30. So this one also 30. Sorry, this one also this one 60. This one 60 because this one 90. No? If this is 30, this force is this angle is 60 now. So this angle is 60. That means this angle is 30. This angle is 30. So if I resolve this one into the perpendicular direction, the angle is 30. That means this one is equal to 200 cos 30. Now angle is in this way. Therefore, if I resolve this one into this direction, the resolved component is equal 200 sin 30. 200 sin 30. 200 sin 30 because angle is in this way. And therefore, resolved component in this direction, that means along the plane, is equal to 200 sin 30. Here another issue. Look at this again.
So that means here we take it as earlier in the x and y directions and resolve it.
This is not x and y direction, something like that, but this is another two direction, another two perpendicular direction. One is along the plane, other one is perpendicular to plane. Look at this. This is 200 Newton. The angle between this one is 30. This is Q. This is P. Right? Therefore, Q is equal to 200 cos 30. P is equal to 200 sin 30. Have it. Two resolved component. In this direction, I have may resolve the 200 Newton force not into x and y direction, but two perpendicular directions. One is along the plane, other one is in the perpendicular to plane. Okay. Perpendicular direction that plane I only. Okay. There you go. Others?
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. හරි. මේකත් එක්ක දැන් මම උතුරට මේ කතා ඩිස්කස් කරනවා. උතුරට ඩිස්කස් කරන්න කලින් මම ඕගලන්ට පුංචි වැඩක් දෙන්න තියෙනවා. ඒ තමයි මම පොඩි ක්වෙස්චන් පේපර් එකක් කරනවා. ක්වෙස්චන් පේපර් එක කරන්න ඕනේ. හරිද? මේකම තමයි දැන් කතා කරපුවම තමයි තියෙන්නේ. So you have to do this question paper and send your answers as a question. හරිද? So you can scan your answer sheet and send it as a PDF. Or if you cannot make PDF, just send me them as photos. Okay. So now I will upload the paper into our WhatsApp group. I will give you 5 minutes to download them. Then I will delete that thing because there are other students no. Therefore, I will give you 5 minutes. Please download it and then answer the questions. And scan your answers and send that to me. හැමෝම scan කරලා answer ටික මට එවන්න. answers ටික එවන්න බෑ නම් photos ටික ගැන PDF කරන්න බෑ නම් photos හරි කමන්නේ මට එවන්න. හරිද? So you have to send that may answers as a personal message. Okay, don't may upload that into the group. Please send that as a personal message. Right? Now there are 6 questions. 6 1. ඉන්න කට්ටියට වෙන වෙනම මත ගන්න. ඉන්න කට්ටියට වෙන වෙනම මත ගන්න මේ and මම අප්ලෝඩ් කරන්න group එකට. හරි? දැන් එතකොට 45 minutes තියෙන්නේ. 45 minutes තියෙන්නේ. දැන් it is 5. එතකොට ඔයාලට 45 minutes වලින් ඉවර කරන්න පුළුවන්. හරි? vector questions ටිකයි තියෙන්නේ. ඒ නිසා බය වෙන්න එපා. දැන් මේ කතා කරපු විදිහම කරන්න තියෙන්නේ. අර මම කරපු කීප දේවල් ඒ විදිහටම apply කරන්න එච්චර. හරි? හොඳයි. මම එහෙනම් දැන් අප්ලෝඩ් කරන්න. හරි. wait a bit. Okay. Okay. Shall we start discussion? This is not the full discussion. I will do the full discussion after marking your answer. Okay, everyone. Now I need your participation. Okay, participation goal. Okay. Now I'm going to convert this vector relationship into a geometrical relationship. If I can convert that thing, then you have to deal with the geometrical thing. Okay. Look at this. 2 non-zero vectors. The first one. 2 non-zero vectors A and B are such that A plus B perpendicular to A minus B. The magnitude of two forces. The magnitude of two forces. The magnitude of one force. The magnitude of one force and the resultant forces are 10 Newton and 10 root 3 respectively. Find the magnitude of the. Okay. Now you can unmute yourself and tell me. So what is the if you convert this vector relationship into a geometrical relationship, what kind of paradigm you can build? What kind of paradigm? Is this a rectangle or a square or rhombus or any other paradigm?
A square or a rhombus?
Yes, very good. It should be a square or rhombus. Okay, because A and B, sorry, A plus B and A minus B are two diagonals. If those are perpendicular to each other, that means the paradigm should be either a square or a rhombus. All right. Then you can clearly distinguish. Yes. After that, you can clearly distinguish whether it is a square or rhombus. How? How? Yes, according to the first argument, first data. According to the first data, two diagonals are perpendicular to each other. Therefore, this parallelogram can be either a rhombus or a square. Okay. After that, I can distinguish definitely what is this parallelogram is this a square or is this a rhombus? Rhombus එකක්ද square එකක්ද? Rhombus. Yes.
Yes.
Rhombus. How did you determine that one?
Because if the parallelogram is a square, then the resultant can't be 10 into square root of
Yeah. If it is a square, definitely the diagonal should be 10 root 3, not 10 into root 2. No, 10 into root 2. No. If it is a square, the diagonal should be 10 times root 2, not root 3. No, because angle is 45. No, angle is 45. Therefore, the diagonal should be 10 times root 2, not root 3. Therefore, this is not a square. It should be a rhombus. Very good. Very good. The second one. 2 and 0 vectors A and B are such that A plus B is equal to A minus B and A plus B are perpendicular A minus B. Then what kind of parallelogram is this? Yes. Others? Don't understand. Look at this. Look. The second question. The second question. Root 2 thing. Root 2 thing means suppose this side is 10, this is also 10. And the diagonal should be 10 times root 2 because this side is 10, this side also 10. Then that means 10 is squared plus 10 is squared is square root. That means 10 times root 2. 10 times root 2. 10 times root 2. So if it is a square, both sides are equal to each other. One side is 10. Then the hypotenuse should be 10 times root 2. 10 times root 2. Normally, if it is a square, if there is a two sides, if there are two sides equal to each other, suppose 5 times 5, 5 and 5, then 10 and 10, then the hypotenuse is 5 times root 2 or 10 times root 2 or any other length times root 2. Then, so if it is a square, this should be 10 times root 2. But it is given the resultant force is 10 times root 3. 10 times root 3, not root 2. Therefore, the diagonal is not equal to 10 times root 2. Yeah. So that should not be a square, that should be rhombus. Then you see?
Okay, sir.
The second one. What kind of parallelogram is this? The second one. Type of paragraph? Type of paragraph.
So it's a square. So
It should be a square. Come again. Yeah, very good.
So because the diagonals will be perpendicular as well as they will be equal.
Equal, yeah. If it is equal, then it should be either a rectangle or square. But then there's another data, both are perpendicular to each other. If both are perpendicular to each other, that means it should be a square. Square එකක් නම් ඉතුරු කොහොමද හදන්න පුළුවන්? හරි. Third one. Third one. 2 and 0 vectors A and B such that හරි. Okay. 2 and 0 vector.
So it's a rectangle.
It is a rectangle. Yes, very good. It is a rectangle. How did you get that one? You can clearly see if A plus B equal to A minus B, the parallelogram should be either a rectangle or a square, no? But the second data, the vector A plus B means that the diagonal makes an angle which is equal to tan inverse 4 over 3. Tan or small, yeah, tan value 4 over 3. Then that should be a rectangle, because if it is a square, diagonal should make a 45 degree, no? A 45 degree. Yeah. Therefore, it should be a rectangle. Rectangle එකක් නම් ඉතින් ඊට පස්සේ හදන්න පුළුවන්. ඊට පස්සේ හදන්න මම කියන්නේ හදන්න කියන්නේ මම paragraph එක මොකක්ද කියලා කියනවා විතරයි. Fourth one. The resultant force of two forces make equal angle between two forces. If the resultant is 20 times root 3, find the magnitude. මොකක්ද මේ? So what kind of paragraph is this? මොකක්ද ඒ කියන්නේ?
So there's a small issue like do they mean like the subtraction vector, like the resultant one? I mean like equal angles between every two vector, like.
Sorry?
So do they mean that equal angles between every two like each
the resultant force of two forces, that means the resultant of two forces makes equal angle with two forces, that means the given two forces. Suppose there are two forces P and Q. Suppose there are two forces P and Q. Then the resultant force of those two forces, makes equal angle with these two forces. And that means this angle and this angle is equal to each other. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So this is the resultant force. This is the resultant force. Those are the two forces, no? Those are the two forces. So the resultant force, if the resultant force makes equal angle between two forces, that means these two angles should be equal to each other. So if these angles are equal to each other, that means what kind of paragraph is this? What kind of paragraph? මොන වගේ paragraph නේද?
So it should be rhombus.
Yes. Why it can't be a square? Why can't be a square? Because square has the same, no? Why can't be a square? 20 root 3 again, 20 root 3. You can clearly see.
Yes.
The resultant is 20 root 3. That means the diagonal, the length of diagonal 20 root 3.
No, it cannot be a square. If it is square, it should be a root 2, no? 20 root 2. Therefore, this is a rhombus. Then you can give the answer. 2 and 0. ඉස්සර ගියාම ආන්සර් එක දෙන විදිහත් කියනවා. ආයෙ ගන්න මේක හිතන්නේ නැත්නම් මම ඔක්කොම කියලා දුන්නා නේද? Fire. Fifth one. 2 and 0 vectors A and B are such that A plus B equal 8, A minus B equals 6. If A plus B is perpendicularly bisector of A minus B, find the magnitude of A and B and angle between them. මට කියන්න බෑ first one එක. Okay. So, what kind of paragram is this? What kind of paragram? Yes, it is a rhombus. No, it is a rhombus. Yes, very good. Because it is clearly say one diagonal is the perpendicular bisector of the other. No, perpendicular bisector of the other, and two diagonals have two different sizes. Therefore, definitely it should be a rhombus. It should be a rhombus. If it is a square, the two diagonals are perpendicular bisectors, but the length of two diagonals should be equal. But in this case, the length are different. No? One is 8. 8 means this length is 4, this length is 4. Other one is 6. That means this length is 3, this length is 3. Then you know how to do that. Others. Then තේරෙන්න ඕනේ මේක ඇඳට පස්සේ. Sixth one. The magnitude of resultant force of two forces is 4 Newton and perpendicular to the smaller force. If the larger force is 5 Newton, find the magnitude of the I can analyze it. මොකද වෙන්නේ? ඒක කොහොමද? Look at this. If you are given this kind of question, that means if the resultant force is perpendicular to the smaller force, then actually you can do that using a vector triangle. Okay, a vector triangle, or you can simply use the vector parallel method also. So suppose this is the resultant force. Now this should be the smaller force. This smaller force. This should be the smaller force, and R is perpendicular to you. Draw the larger force here. If I draw the larger force here, and if I complete the vector paradigm, what is this P? If this is P, this should be P2. Okay. Because this is a paragram, therefore equally length. So I can use this triangle. I can use this triangle to solve those kind of questions. Okay, because this is a this triangle. I can apply Pythagoras theorem or any other trigonometric ratios. This is a right angle triangle. Therefore, I can apply Pythagoras theorem. Then I can apply sin theta, cos theta, tan theta values to this kind of triangle. Therefore, simply you can use this kind of triangle to solve that kind of question. That means if the resultant force is perpendicular to the smaller force, then you can use this triangle. Right? According to this question, I think this force is 5. This force is 4, no? This force is 4, no? This force is 3. Then you can simply apply the Pythagoras theorem to find the other force. Then you can apply tan theta, cos theta, and sin theta definition to find the angle. But the one thing you have to remember, the angle between two forces means this angle, okay? The angle between two forces means this angle. So if the angle between two forces is equal to theta, this angle is 180 minus theta. This angle is 180 minus theta. If this angle is 180 minus theta, this one also equal to 180 minus theta. 180 minus theta. Corresponding angle. Therefore, if this is 180 minus theta, therefore this should be also equal to 180 minus theta. So if you write trigonometric functions to this angle, this should be 180 minus theta. There should be noted 180 minus theta. Okay. So this is not the angle between two forces. If you find this angle, then you have to subtract that one from 180. You can simply find the angle. Okay. Suppose this is 4. Suppose this is 4. This is 5. I have taken this one as alpha. So I can write sin alpha. Sin alpha means the opposite side over the hypotenuse. Sin alpha is equal to 4 over 5. Opposite side is 4 and hypotenuse is 5. Therefore, sin alpha is 4 over 5. Therefore, alpha means alpha is equal sin inverse 4 over 5. Alpha equals sin inverse 4 over 5. Okay. Then, if you are asked to find the angle between two vectors, that means this is not the answer. Alpha is not the answer. You have to subtract that from 180. 180. Angle between this one, this should be 180 minus alpha. That means this angle. 180 minus alpha. So therefore, you can write the angle between two forces is equal to 180 minus alpha means this one. Either you can take this one as theta. Therefore, this one as 180 minus theta. Only, right? Same. Others? Okay. Then, 7th one. The magnitude of resultant force of two forces 10 Newton and it is perpendicular to a smaller force if the angle between same thing. Then 8th one. The resultant force of two forces make 30 Newton angles between each force. The magnitude of the resultant vector is 40 times root 3. Find the following. So you can apply the same method which I have explained earlier. If the resultant force of two forces make 30 angles means the angle between resultant force and two forces are equal in sizes, no? Which is equal to 30 degrees. Therefore, both angles is equal to 30 degrees. Therefore, what kind of what kind of paradigm is this? Yes, it is a rhombus. It is a rhombus. So if the parallelogram makes same equal angles may with two forces, that means from that diagonal, that angle is bisected. No. Therefore, it should be definitely parallelogram or square. Parallelogram or square. If the angle is 30, that means it should be a parallelogram. So parallelogram is a rhombus or square. Rhombus or square. If the angle is 30, that means definitely it should be a rhombus. Otherwise, it should be equal to 45. If it is a square, should be equal to 45. No? But now it is equal to 30. That means then now this parallelogram should be a rhombus. The ninth one. මතක තියාගන්න මේ වගේ parallelogram එක ඕගොල්ලෝ මේකක්ද determine කරලා පස්සේ පුතේ ඔයගලන්ට apply කරන්න දෙන්නේ කෙලින්ම geometrical ටිකක්. හරිද? බලන්න මේ. Once you determine the parallelogram, then you are asked some geometrical things. The magnitude of A and magnitude of B means what is this? Sides of parallelogram. Sides of parallelogram. Magnitude of A minus B, that means the length of other diagonal. Length of other diagonal. The angle between A plus B and A minus B. That means the angle between two diagonals. Those are some geometrical things. Okay. Then, ninth one. The magnitude of resultant force of two forces is 10 Newton and it is perpendicular to the smaller force. The magnitude of large force is equal to 20 Newton. And the others. මෙතන අර වගේම triangle එකක් උඩ ඔයාලගෙන් තියෙන්නේ. ඒ කියන්නේ right angle triangle එකක්. So the in the right angle triangle, the hypotenuse is 20 Newton. One side, perpendicular side, is 10 Newton. So you have to find the other side. The side can be determined using Pythagoras theorem, no? An angle. I have explained that one. Subtraction. Subtraction means -1. That can be determined. 10th one. The resultant force of two forces make 30 degree with the larger force and it is perpendicular to the smaller force. The resultant force of two forces make 30 degree with the larger force and it is perpendicular to the smaller force. Now you are given another angle of that triangle. You know, previously I have drawn a triangle. No? This is the resultant force. This is the larger force. This one is the smaller force. This is the smaller force. This is the larger force. Now we are given the angle between the angle between the larger force and the resultant is 30. That means this one is 30. This one is 30. And we are given we are given P of we are given the magnitude of larger force. That means we are given P. We are given P. This one is given. If this one is, we know this one and this angle. If we know one side of a triangle and an angle, then I can use trigonometric definitions. That means sine, cos, theta. Sine, definition of sine, definition of cos, definition of theta, tan, to find these. No? As example, sine 30. Sine 30 is equal Q over P. Q over P. I know sine 30 is equal half and I know the value of P. So I can find the value of P. Likewise, you will find the value of R. Okay. හරිද? මම හිතන්නේ ටිප්ස් එක නම් ඇති කියලා. හරිද? තේරුණාද ටිප්ස් ටික? තේරුණා? Have you actually did you get these tips? Okay, thank you. Then you can try again. Okay, actually you can try again and complete all the questions. Complete all the questions. දැන් ඕගොල්ලෝ ඔක්කොම try කරලා complete කරන්න. හැබැයි මතක තියාගන්න try කරද්දී time එක බලන්න. හරියට time එක බලන්න. වෙලෙම කියලා පුතේ මේක අපි time game එකක්. මේක අපි time එකත් එක්ක කරන සෙල්ලමක්. අනිවාර්යයෙන් ඕගොල්ලෝ time එක improve කරගන්න වෙලේ කරන්න ඕන. නැත්නම් මේක කරන්න බෑ. හරිද? So you have to මේ කියන්නේ මගේ මේ subject එකට මගේ මේ එකට විතරක් නෙවෙයි මම මේ කියන්නේ. ඔයාලා ඕනි class එක ඕනි tutor එකක් කරනකොට timing එක කරන්න ඕන. එහෙම නැතුව timing හැදෙන්නේ නැහැ. ගොඩක් ළමයි හුරු වෙලා ඉන්න එක වැරදි ක්‍රමයක් තමයි questions දෙකක් කරනවා ඊළඟ දවසේ තව questions දෙකක් කරනවා ආයෙ මතක් වුණා තව questions ටිකක් කරනවා එහෙම එපා. ඔයාලා අද දවසේ select කරගන්න questions 10යි නම් questions 10 කරන්න. ඒක ගැන time එක බලන්න. හරි. අර මම කිව්වා MCQ එහෙම කරන්න එපා කියලා. මම MCQ කරන සමහර අන්තිම දැන් ඕගොල්ලන්ට MCQ කරන්න පුළුවන්. හරිද? දැන් ඕගොල්ලෝ අනිවාර්යයෙන් MCQ paper එකට 2 hours දාන්න 2 hours වලින් MCQ paper එක ඉවර කරන්න. Because there are 56 questions, so you can do that within 2 hours. So please allocate 2 hours and do it at once. එකපාර කරන්න. Okay. එකපාර කරලා බලන්න ඔයාලට කොච්චර වෙලාවක් යනවද කියලා. And check whether you can complete these 56 questions within 2 hours or not. Okay. අපේ නැත්තම් timing හැදෙන්නේ නැහැ. නැත්තම් ජීවිතයේ time හැදෙන්නේ නැහැ. මම කියන්නේ අද්දුටය ප්‍රත්‍යක්ෂ ජීවිතයේ timing හැදෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඕගොල්ලෝ මේක අදාගත්තේ නැත්තම්. හරිද? දැන් ඕගොල්ලන් නිකෝට මේක බැලුවහම තේරෙන්න ඕනේ. ඔයාලා theoretical knowledge එක කොච්චර හොඳ වුණත් apply කරන්න ගියාම පොඩ්ඩක් අමාරුයි කියන්නේ. ඕක තමයි තියෙන්නේ මේ ඒවල. ඒවල තියෙන එකම දේ applications ටික. applications ටික පුතේ පොඩ්ඩක් අපිට track එකට වැටෙන්න ඕනේ උරුට එන්න. හරිද? ඒ නිසා හොඳට තේරුම් ගන්න අපිට එකපාරට මේක මම ඕගොල්ලන්ගේ accept ගන්න නැහැ. මොකද ඕගොල්ලෝ තව all knowledge එක තියෙන්නේ. all knowledge එක තියෙන ළමයිත් එකපාරට ඩෝන් ගාලා apply කරන්න ටිකක් අමාරුයි. හරිද? ඒ නිසා ඕගොල්ලෝ දැන් අර මේ අර පොඩ්ඩක් අර fit නැති ගැතිය එන්න හේතුව ඒක. හැබැයි ඕගොල්ලෝ මේකට පොඩ්ඩක් අර එළියම track එක වෙනට පස්සේ පුතේ ඕක හරියනවා. හැබැයි ඉතින් වැටෙනවා කියලා ඉතින් ඉබේ වැටෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඕගොල්ලෝ වට ගන්න ඕනේ. හරි. ඒ නිසා මේ questions ටික තනියම විදිහට කරන්න. ආයෙ පාරක්. හැබැයි timing එක කරන්න ඕනේ. දැන් බලන්න මට කොච්චර time එකක් යනවද මේක කරන්න. හරිද? Suppose you have taken another 30 minutes. That means now you have done some extend of that. So suppose you have taken another 30 minutes. That means totally you will take 35 and 40 nearly 1 and not half hour, but nearly 1.5 hours. Right? So likewise you have to monitor your time. Okay, otherwise you cannot improve, or you cannot improve your questions timing. Okay, questions timing කරන time improve කරගන්න අමාරුයි. හරි. ඒ නිසා හොඳට ඒක ඔලුවට ගන්න. මම බලන්න ඔයගොල්ලෝ questions ටික මම බලන්න. මොකද්ද ඔය විදිහට හුරු වෙන්න ඕනේ අනිවාර්යයෙන්. ඒ කියන්නේ අපි හොඳට මතක තියාගන්න පුතේ අපි මේ applications බලද්දී මම එක කියන්නේ අපිට සාමාන්‍ය මේ physics වල typical questions කියලා නෑ. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ මම කිව්වේ අර maths වල ගත්තොත් එහෙම අපි ඕල් කාලේ maths වල ගත්තොත් එහෙම අපි ගන්නවා මේ graph question එක ගත්තොත් ඒක typical question එක. ඔය වගේ construction question එක ගත්තොත් එහෙම ඒක typical question එක. හරි. ඒ වගේ typical question එක පුතේ තිබ්බේ. හරිද? ඊළඟට මේ අර interest rates ගැන නම් මම තිබ්බ ඒක ඔක්කොම එකම විදිහට නෑනේ පුතේ. හරිද? මේ ඒ නිසා ඒව අපි equation එකක් හදලා අපි තේරුම් ගත්තොත් එන questions කීපයක් තේරුම් ගත්තොත් අපිට දඩබඩ හදන්න පුළුවන්. physics වල එහෙම බෑ. physics නෙමෙයි ඒවල් එකක්වත් එහෙම බෑ. හරිද? බෑ කියලා කියන්නේ question එක උතේ වෙනස් වෙනවා. දැන් යෝග question නෙමෙයි මේ පාවෙ එන්නේ. හරිද? past paper questions එහෙම වෙනවා. past paper questions එහෙම මාමල පුංචි වෙනස්කම් තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. අන්න ඒකයි ප්‍රශ්නේ. හරිද? පොඩි වෙනස්කම් තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. පුංචි පොඩි minor changes තියෙනවා. minor changes තියෙන නිසා අපි ඒවා අල්ලගෙන අපි වෙනස් කරගන්න ඕනේ අපේ application එක. අන්න ඒක අපි තේරුම් ගන්න ඕනේ. ඉස්සර කරගෙන ඇති තේරෙයි. බලමු. හරි. හොඳයි. So we can complete today's class today. So please may do the tute again and send that to me. Your answers it. Please send that to me. Okay. Thank you. So do you have any questions to ask? Okay, then we can complete today's lessons, Buddha. So good night. Bye.
I will say good night. God bless you.
What was that? Hi, Kiana.